Someone churn the butter. We're going to a haunted pioneer village.
Welcome to the voicemail box of your local friendly necromancer. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. Please leave a detailed message on which human, animal, or vicious hellbeast you would like to resurrect. Your call will be returned within 3 business days to book an appointment. Please ensure to have your down payment of your soul or firstborn child, or the soul or firstborn child of another being if you do not have one, at the time of your appointment. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Local Necromancer's Coffee Break, a podcast where we transcend this boring ass human realm and absorb all the paranormal juices. This episode has been a long time in the making. I really wanted to take the time to see where the future of this podcast was going and get a better vision for things than just running off sheer paranormal vibes and a few gallons of coffee. And I wanted to see how to schedule it in the midst of transitioning into full-time content creation. It's a big and rather unplanned step in life, so I really wanted to hammer out all the details, get a backlog of content made, and go about this the smartest way that I could. With that said, before we get into today's episode, I wanted to talk a little about this local necromancer's content and everything you can be expecting from this channel, and the wider social media world. The podcast is only undergoing one major change. Most of the episodes I am going to be making audio only, just like this one. This is just to aid with my current content schedule and help keep things running smoothly. But occasionally we will have video episodes, like my next one, for special occasions where I go on investigations or anything else that comes up that just warrants a little more than just my voice. My YouTube channel now does more than just house this little paranormal podcast about ghosts and creepy tales, or even the 2 audio dramas for my books. I've opened it up to a wide variety of gaming content. Everything from multiplayer games like Repo, survival games like The Forest, horror games like The Evil Within, Resident Evil, a little everything for everyone. Most of these come from VODs off of my Twitch channel, where I'm currently an affiliate and I stream almost every night, so make sure to check it out if you're interested. However, certain series like Baldur's Gate 3 and a few upcoming surprises are filmed off-stream, so those who follow my Twitch have brand new content to enjoy as well. That brings us to Patreon. A definite new world for me as we leap from paranormal and gaming into my first love, writing. While my Patreon does offer first looks into some podcast episodes, audio drama features, and videos, its primary focus is for my writing career. I'm a published author, and I wanted a place where I could post my works in progress for readers to enjoy. I used to be on writing websites in the past where friends could read my work, and I miss it, but I also wanted a place where my works are a little more secure, whether it be behind a full paywall or even just available for my free subscribers. Currently, I do have 3 books available that I update weekly. The first one is Echo of Moths, which many of you may remember from the audio drama. It's an Appalachian horror about a young woman found buried alive in the depths of the Pennsylvania woods, and the evil entity that follows her to her new home. We got creepy shit, we got romantic shit, we got people trapped inside of coffins and a bridge shit. I mean, it really just has it all. Next, we also have Ghost of You, which is a paranormal rom-com that's actually the reason this podcast exists. Originally, both this book and podcast kind of came from an inside joke where I always say that I am like the local necromancer of all of my book characters. So this book follows a local necromancer who has been recently fired and stripped of her abilities moments before she accidentally kills a world-famous rock star and now has to travel down to the underworld and barter with death to get this man's life back. There's also a little dragon familiar obsessed with coffee, so you can't go wrong. And the last book available, for now, is Risen, which is the sequel to my published dark fantasy novel Vision. And for the sake of spoilers, I won't go too deep into the plot, so if you'd like to know more, check out Vision or read up on Risen on my Patreon. I also want to give a quick thank you and shout out to my friend Bree for being the first subscriber to get a Patreon shout out. Every paid member on any tier gets shouted out in the next episode of Local Necromancer's Coffee Break, and I'm working on updating my Twitch rating screens so it reflects all the names of patrons as well. And as for the rest of my socials, TikTok, Insta, that shit is staying the same chaotic mess it's always been, so enjoy. And without further ado, let us get into the meat of today's episode. Today, this local necromancer is taking you on a little journey to a little town named Rockville, Indiana. Those familiar with Rockville may have heard of the infamous Indiana State Sanatorium, but today's tale takes place a hop, skip, and jump down the path to its neighbor, the quaint, quiet village of Billie Creek. A location frozen in time, with each historic building pulled from their original location to this amalgamation of properties. Billie Creek is a haunted site, both unforgettable and eerily beautiful. So unique, in fact, that this episode will be coming in 2 parts. Today's episode will focus on the history of Billie Creek Village and some of the haunted tales that enrich its land. And the second episode, next week, we will cover the 2-day investigation we had there during events held by 2 guys you may have seen around YouTube. Haunted Nights. Prepare for rich history, spooky happenings, and a few bloopers. You gotta give the people what they want.
They're dead.
I'm hoping.
You're what?
It's like you're having a stroke.
I'm hoping.
Stepping on the Billie Creek Village property is like stepping back in time. With over 30 structures arranged on 70 acres and original construction dates spanning over a 100-year range between the early 18 and 1900s, a picture of a world long lost becomes clearer. And since recounting the history of all these structures would be a bit too ambitious for this project, I'll only be covering the sample that pertains to our adventures from this chilly weekend in late April. Entering the village, we cross the infamous Billie Creek Bridge. Named after the Williams Creek it spans, this covered bridge was constructed in 1895 as a replacement for the original 1880 structure built by J.A. Britton. Initially, this bridge was believed to have been open, leading to fast deterioration in Indiana's inclement weather. After its reconstruction, Billie Creek Bridge sat at Pikes Peak, Plank Road, and Ocean to Ocean Road before it made its home where it stands today, saved from destruction by rerouting local highways. To this day, if you stand on the bridge under the covering, you may hear disembodied footsteps and hushed conversations, but they won't bother you or chase you in the darkness. They simply go about their day as if it were any other. I did try asking the spirits for their butter churning recipe, but they didn't respond. And once you've been greeted by its rustic wooden walls, you'll emerge into Town Square, lined with loose stone paths that encircle greenery and a pavilion in its center. Here, shadow figures wander the grounds, their disembodied voices carried on the wind, and if you're lucky, you may even catch some of these eerie figures in your photos before they vanish from the naked eye. As you meander down the path, a modest 1-bedroom home stands at the edge of the village square, with chipped blue paint and a welcoming disposition. Belonging to the 10th governor of Indiana, Joseph A. Wright, his wife Louisa, and their 2 children, the governor's house is a staple in Billie Creek's history and filled with items from the 1800s, including over 100 years of law records donated to the village by a local family. Now, when you step inside the home, listen with a keen ear. Disembodied voices are rampant here, not only in stories told between friends, but caught on tape by multiple paranormal investigators. Estes sessions have been known to capture not only residual conversations, but intelligent activity. Now, theories do say that these are the voices of Joseph and Louisa, remaining together in the afterlife at their family home, and often emerging as shadow figures that move from room to room, spotted out of the corner of your eye. Next along the path is a stout, square Baptist church measuring 40 by 50 feet. The stained glass is mostly preserved, except for a few chips where the windows were broken from time. Originally the Missionary Baptist Society of Hollinsburg, this church was built and dedicated in 1859, after years of congregation members meeting in the home of James and Rhonda Stout. When the village bought the Baptist church in 1981, it was transported from its original site, but not without quite a process to do so. Not only did the roof have to be removed, but the church itself was split in half from side to side and brought to Billie Creek in flatbed semis. I didn't get a photo, unfortunately, but when you stand just in front of the altar, you can actually see the dividing lines in the wooden floorboards. And not only was this an extensive process, it was also hella expensive, with an estimate of over $40,000 to move the building and construct a temporary bridge across the creek in order to safely transport it. The hauntings of the Baptist church are known to be lighter and more playful, with a lot of visual disturbances seen in the building, usually as flashes of light or white orbs. The building itself feels very welcoming, likely due to the spirits of congregation members lingering in their old favorite space. However, we did experience some mimic activity in this area that was rather unexpected, but more on that in next week's investigation episode. As you pass a few smaller structures, such as the blacksmithing station and broom shop, or shapapi, as my brother calls it from the spelling S-H-O-P-P-E, shapapi, 2 high steepled buildings are in your wake. The first belongs to a red-sided building straight out of the Little House on the Prairie, right down to the smell of, well, old that envelops the place. This one-room Huxford schoolhouse is a favorite among paranormal investigators and has even had the apparition of a young boy caught on film. Now, Little House on the Prairie might be a little extreme considering the schoolhouse was only constructed in 1913, making it one of the more recently built structures on the Billie Creek property. And it was one of the last one-room schoolhouses in Park County, Indiana. Now, originally, the Huxford family was not willing to sell the building to the village, but years later, in 1968, they changed their minds and donated the schoolhouse under the agreement that Billie Creek would be solely responsible for moving the structure to its new home. After moving into the village and undergoing a restorative facelift, 2 hand-drawn images were donated to the village by artist Barbara Flock of the building's look both before and after the move. The restoration was a team effort of artistic talent, historic preservation, and donated goods from the school's time period to ensure the authenticity to its history. One of the most notorious hauntings in this schoolhouse is that of a little boy who has been photographed numerous times within its walls, and his most well-known shot is of him standing vividly in the doorway as if he's waiting for class to begin. Or maybe he's just deciding who to put the dunce cap on. Investigators have been known to catch various school-related findings on devices, from students answering math questions to teachers speaking their lessons from beyond. Careful though, or you may get swatted with the long ruler behind her desk. Just don't let Steve teach. And now we come to the second steeple. With yellowed white paint and dark trim that gives it the vibes it has well earned over the years as one of the darkest locations on Billie Creek property. The village isn't known for a lot of dark negative energy. In fact, most spirits that linger on the property are just going about their old day-to-day routines as if time never stopped. St. Joseph's Catholic Church, however, is the exception. Originally belonging to the town of Rockville itself, the church was built in 1886, serving its congregation for over 80 years. The church was moved to Billie Creek when the congregation chose to build a new structure for themselves. However, the money wasn't readily available, and it didn't seem promising that the old church would even survive the move. But at the last moment, a woman by the name Mrs. Anton Holman donated the necessary $10,000 to relocate the church and preserve its history. The moment you enter this building, the sensation is far different from other locations. Around the village, it's common to feel as if you're not alone, or maybe that passing spirits watch you as they go about their daily routine. In this Catholic church, however, that feeling is much heavier and can make even the most hardened investigators feel uneasy. From legends of the black-eyed demon that makes the church its home, to something that prowls the outside of the structure and cannot enter, and doors that open and slam of their own accord. This place is not for the faint of heart. The stories are seemingly endless, and I had multiple encounters of my own here that I can add to the mix, which will be covered in the second Billie Creek episode next week. And the final stop on this brief history tour takes us far from the village center, down a winding dirt path to a 2-story home at the edge of the surrounding woods, the Civil War House, another location deemed one of Billie Creek's darkest locations. Built in the 1840s, this was the home of Evan Stokes, his wife Sarah, and their children. They had 5 girls and 5 boys in the home, but 3 of their boys did not survive, though it's unclear whether they died as young children or if they didn't survive childbirth. But also residing in the home were numerous preachers throughout Evan and Sarah's lives, as the home operated as a preacher's stopping place, with exterior doors leading to like a little upstairs quarter apartment for their guests' privacy. Originally, we didn't realize this, as the preacher's room is currently set up with children's toys, and we were really concerned why this family had a large wood stove right next to their child's bed. So we're glad that mystery was solved, but I am curious about the child-sized figure we caught inside the stove during an SLS session. So I'm still wondering if Hansel and Gretel ever paid this place a visit. I wouldn't doubt it. There are many conflicting stories about the energy of this home. Many claim it feels dark or borderline demonic all over this house, but especially on the second floor. However, just as many, including Billie Creek regulars and workers, will tell you the building's spirits are not dark entities. They merely don't want to be bothered. These spirits are likely trying to live their afterlives in peace without visitors barging in at all hours of the day and night, interrupting their meals, waking children from naps, or just invading their privacy. And after our own investigations there, I'm bound to believe the same. There doesn't seem to be anything dark attached to the Civil War house, just some less welcoming spirits who don't take kindly to those who barge into their space. And honestly, same. All in all, not only is the history of Billie Creek rich and utterly scrumptious, but so are the hauntings that enrich the very soil of this village. And next week, I'll be documenting some of our experiences during the 2-night investigation event with Haunted Nights. You won't want to miss the chaos, spooky ghosts begging for candy, and drunk British spirits we captured. But for now, I will leave you with these tales and the history from Rockville, Indiana, and the wish of sweet dreams of shadow figures and creepy black-eyed demons. Stay safe, don't sell your soul, drink lots of coffee, maybe sprinkle a little water in there, and churn that butter in the one-room schoolhouse, y'all. See you next time. Bye!